Welcome to the stream, everyone. My name is Brian Craig. This is the Brian Craig Show podcast, where MAGA comes to talk. Thanks for joining. Okay, I tell you, this second term of President Trump's is the most amazing presidential term ever. We're never going to experience another president like this, and there's never been a president like this before. I know a lot of people like to say, oh, Teddy Roosevelt this, the Rough Riders and all that stuff, and that's all cool. Don't take anything wrong away from Teddy Roosevelt. But what Donald Trump is doing and what he is going to be doing tonight just blew me away. And I must tell you, when I first saw this, I thought this is AI. I was on X a little while ago, and I'm going to play this audio for you. It's from the Todd Starnes show, and it's President Trump. And I heard this, and I'm like, that somebody did AI and put this up. And then like a minute later, I got a notification from The Hill, who had a detailed story about it, and it's true. So let me just tell you what it is. Let me play the audio. Listen to this. This is President Trump today on the Todd Starnes show.
And I'm going to be going out tonight. I'm going to keep it a secret, but I'm going to go. You're the only one that knows. You and your lots of listeners. You have a great show. You have a very successful show, by the way, in case you haven't heard that. But I'm going to be going out tonight, I think, with the police, and with the military, of course. So we're going to do a job. The National Guard is great. They've done a fantastic job.
Okay, now I'll go through the Hill story in just a minute. President Trump is going out on patrol on the streets of Washington, D.C. tonight with the United States Army, the National Guard, and the police to patrol the streets of D.C. Now, and I'm going to tell you something. This is, who was the president in the War of 1812? Was it James Madison? I want to say James Madison. Hold on, let me look this up. Let me make sure. Let me look this up. Because what President Trump is doing is is incredibly historic. I want to say it was. Let me see if I was right. I'm Googling it. Who was president in the War of 1812? James Madison. I was right. See that history degree? I earned it. What President Trump is doing, going on patrol in the streets of D.C., is historic for many reasons. In the War of 1812, when the Redcoats burned down Washington, the United States was on the verge of collapse. The city was overrun with British soldiers. They were burning the whole place down. James Madison had a meeting, an emergency meeting in a hotel lobby with the cabinet and the military, and then he took charge of the army. And James Madison in the War of 1812, that is the last time that the President of the United States officially in the field of battle took on the role of commander-in-chief. George Washington did it during the Whiskey Rebellion. He was president, and he put on his uniform from the American Revolution and led the soldiers out to the hillbillies and during the Whiskey Rebellion. And then Madison in the War of 1812 was the last one to do it. President Trump is the first president of the United States since James Madison in the War of 1812 to lead the United States Army on a military mission as commander-in-chief. That is a big freaking deal, I'm here to tell you. On top of the fact that it's super cool too, isn't it? I mean, that just blows me the freak away. And he's so humble about it. You know what which I know, it's super cool. Also, I'm shocked that he announced it in advance. It blows my mind that he announced it in advance, right? Because of security. This is in The Hill. Let me pull this up in The Hill. They have a story on it. The Hill reporting Trump to patrol D.C. streets with police and military. So during this operation, during this event, he's not just going to be a president of the United States who's on some photo op doing the royal wave. He is actually taking on his role as commander-in-chief and leading the United States military. I mean, in a military operation, which is to protect the capital of our great country. The Hill writes, President Trump said he plans to go out on patrol with the Metropolitan Police Department and National Guard troops around Washington, D.C. on Thursday night amid a federal crackdown on crime. I'm going to be going out tonight, I think, with the police and with the military, of course. So we're going to do a job, Trump told conservative radio host Todd Starnes on his show. The National Guard is great, the president said. They've done a fantastic job. I've had goosebumps again. I have gotten more goosebumps during Trump's second term in these few short months, I think, than I've gotten in my entire life before this. The Trump administration now they go into what's going on. This is absolutely amazing. And it's a brave thing to do. It's very heroic. And it's also great symbolism for the United States that our president is doing something that is so needed. And, part of it is they've done the Army and the police being put under Pam Bondi's authority and all. They've done such a great job. The security risk is not what it once was. And for the life of me, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, I cannot understand why a single American, and when I say American, I mean United States of America. I'm not talking about South Americans, Latin Americans, or any other. I'm talking about North Americans. I'm talking, in Canada. I'm talking about United States of Americans. For the life of me, I cannot understand why every single American does not love this man. What other president would do something like that? What other president would even think of doing something like that? Something that's never been done before. And President Trump is very well aware of the historic nature of it. He's a student of history. He references a lot of presidential historical moments all the time. So he's very well aware of what it is that he is doing and the significance of it, taking on the role of commander-in-chief. And I don't know what he's going to wear tonight, if they're going to put him in a combat uniform or something. But I think it would be super cool to have him in a uniform. He is entitled as the commander-in-chief to wear a uniform. George Washington did it. I'd love to see him with something that symbolizes that he's out there as the commander-in-chief. Wouldn't you? Now, if you're listening live, you're welcome to call me. The Brian Craig Show podcast is available on all podcast platforms. If you tune in on YouTube, you can catch me live because I actually do the podcast live on YouTube. On the podcast platforms, I'm on every single podcast platform there is. Just search for The Brian Craig Show. But I do the show live on YouTube. And when I'm live on YouTube with the podcast, I do take live calls. And if you're watching live on YouTube, the toll-free number is pinned in the live chat. It's 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. How could anyone not love this man who's an American? How could this not move you, touch you, give you goosebumps like I have? I don't understand that. Commander-in-chief is above 5-star. We don't have 5-star generals anymore, but he's above that, the commander-in-chief. It's a special, unique rank. This is amazing. I just can't believe it. I just can't believe it. It's great. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Name is Josh Callahan. I'm calling from Missouri.
Yeah, Josh. First names are all we need. What's up, Josh?
I was just calling in, to red blood American me. I ain't got no red or blue in me.
Okay.
Now, listen.
Oh,
I understand. I understand you're a big Trump supporter.
Absolutely.
But
here we
I
go.
personally, Trump, he ain't a real president. All right, he ain't pulling the strings here. Kamala, neither was she wasn't a real candidate. None of these presidents, Biden, or Kamala, or Trump, they were all controlled by the same group of people who are controlling America right now.
Really? Who's that?
that would be the billionaire class. Ever notice
how...
how...
Wait, slow down for a
Mark
second.
Zuckerberg...
Hold on for a second. You're aware that President Trump's a billionaire. He's part of the billionaire class, right?
Exactly.
So he's part of the... If this is, there's some truth to what you said, but there's also a bunch of psychotic paranoia, too.
Ain't nothing psychotic about it.
I know people that are crazy don't typically realize it. But here's the thing. What you said is true with our other presidents. It's not true with Donald Trump. All the other presidents we've had in our lifetime, and maybe all the way back to the days of General Washington, were, for the most part, figureheads, right? And when they stepped out of line, they ran into trouble. Like, they killed Kennedy because he was going to pull out of Vietnam, as an example, right? He didn't do what he was told. They shot President Trump in Butler because they can't control him, and they were trying to stop him from becoming president again. So what you said is true with past presidents. It's not true with President Trump. That's why they waged the lawfare and the assassination attempts and such against him. That's why they broke into his house, Mar-a-Lago, and the list goes on.
Yeah. Here's the thing about this. I'm gonna need you to listen to me, all right? I'm not handing my show over to you. I got a lot of important things to talk about, but and you're not. I can tell.
So I'm not handing my show over to you and my audience. I'm sorry. I commented on what you said.
What do you want to talk about?
With
you want to talk about something?
No, not with you. No, I don't. I have no interest in talking to you further. None. Zero.
Well, also, Trump is a huge...
Okay, there we go. So he asked. I'm sorry. So if you're just tuning in, Donald Trump announced on the Todd Starnes show that he's going out on patrol with the Army tonight, the National Guard, and the D.C. Police. And I am so excited about this. There's so many problems in this country that no president, that our government has not addressed. They go out and they talk about it, but they don't do anything about it. Like I was watching today, and some of you may disagree with this, but I think a lot of MAGA people will agree. I was watching Comer on TV, in love with himself, in some press conference in the halls of Congress today. Any of you see this? This guy talks the big game, but he never does anything, right? What happened to those $10 million deposits into the Biden bank account in Cyprus? He was going to go after that. A long list of things. Comer's out there talking all the time. He never does a darn thing. That's how past Republicans have been. They talk the game, they don't do it. President Trump, he walks the walk, then he goes out and does it, right? Republican presidents, George W. Bush talked a lot that the United States needs to move the American embassy in Israel from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. We had our embassy for a long, long time in Tel Aviv, which is not the capital. President Trump just did it. He just said, we're doing it, and he did it. Every Republican has been talking about overturning Roe v. Wade since the Supreme Court ruling in 1973. Donald Trump actually overturned Roe v. Wade. In the big, beautiful bill that he just recently signed into law, right? One of the things that he did there that was absolutely amazing, President Trump, with that, cut federal funding to Planned Parenthood. Republicans, for as long as I can remember, have been saying we need to cut funding to Planned Parenthood. And even when we've had Republican presidents in the White House and control both houses of Congress, the Republicans didn't do it. President Trump cut the funding to Planned Parenthood. And there's many other things that he's done, that other Republicans talked about doing but never did. And when I say I don't understand how a single American could not love this man, these are the things that I am talking about, right? The Make America Great Again movement, people say, when was it great? Well, the country's always been great, but the problem is our government has been just fake. The Republicans have been worse than the Democrats because they tell us what we want to hear and then they don't do it until Donald Trump comes on the scene. And one of the biggest problems that everyone gripes about in this country and no one does anything about it is the hardcore crime in the Democrat cities, of which D.C. is one of them. You go to any of the Democrat cities in this country, and it's dangerous. Dangerous. Some are more dangerous than others. Some are more deadly than others. But you go to these blue cities, And there is always hardcore crime going on, deadly crime. And everyone says, oh, well, we got to take care of it. And what have any of them done? You know, there were no murders last week in D.C. No murders for the first time in a long time in a full week in D.C. No one died due to murder in D.C. because of Donald Trump. If Donald Trump had not won re-election, people would have been murdered this week in D.C. that were not because of him. Think about that. It's absolutely amazing. Now, as the podcast goes on live, I'm monitoring the Cracker Barrel stock, because we're talking a lot about Cracker Barrel. The market's about to close. It is, as I'm doing this live, it's 3:45 p.m. on the East Coast, right? So the stock market closes at 4. So right now, Cracker Barrel stock is down 8% for the day. We'll see what they close at in a few minutes. And, of course, this is over this woke thing that they caved into. I talked about it all morning on the live stream before this one. So you can go and check that out. I commented and took calls on that all day long. So I'm not going to recap everything I've said. But go woke and go broke, right? Go woke and go broke. And that's what we're seeing right here with Cracker Barrel. And people are ticked. Now, I was doing some looking into Cracker Barrel. Cracker Barrel has been in financial trouble for a while. The last couple of years, they've had some really big financial setbacks. And, you know, a lot of dine-in restaurants have had problems because of DoorDash and Uber Eats and things like that, you know. The millennials and Gen Z generation are not into going into restaurants and socializing, even with their own family. So, you know, that's hit hard a lot of dine-in restaurants. But Cracker Barrel's on these exits on the highway off of I-95, at least here in Florida, in the deep south here. And they're a place that usually wouldn't be affected by such things because people want to get off the road. But when you get off that exit where the Cracker Barrel is, there's always something else there, whether it's a McDonald's or a Waffle House or something else. And people are fed up and sick and tired of wokeism, and anything that is connected to pro-woke anything. And this Cracker Barrel story, while the damage they've done is not as bad as what Bud Light did, because Bud Light hired that weirdo to be their spokesperson, and that was pretty bad. Cracker Barrel, they made a business decision to change up what they were doing, figuring they may bring in a new demographic of people if they made these changes on top of their woke garbage. And it is 100% backfiring on them in real time as we speak. So I'm going to monitor their stock prices. It's down 8.03% right now on the day, which is, that's almost 10% devaluation of the company in a single day, and it's all because of this. And what happens a lot of times with these woke companies, they figure, well, we've got our base already of support. We want to bring in new people. And so they do something like this to attract new people, and then they alienate their base customer. The Democrats have done this with all their woke crap. They've driven so many people away from their party that have been Democrats for their entire lifetime, maybe even multi-generational, and they've become MAGA Republicans because they've gotten so woke. I'm going to take our first break, and I'll continue throughout till the closing. We'll find out what the closing price is on Cracker Barrel at the end of the day. Right now it's down 7.83%. So we'll take our first break. It's the Brian Craig Show podcast. I'm Brian Craig. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Some legends are too powerful to stay buried, and some adventures are too thrilling to resist. From author Kara Saul comes a book packed with suspense, danger, and heart. New adventure of Kara Wind, Commando Avalanche Crystal Cave, available on Amazon. Kara Wind is fearless, determined, and she's ready to chase one last adventure before graduation. Guided by whispers of a lost fortune and a cave shrouded in mystery, Kara's journey will test her courage, challenge her friendships and unlock secrets hidden deep within the mountains. But the truth won't come easily. Along the way, she meets unexpected allies and faces dangerous questions. Who can she trust? What will they discover? And will the legendary cave reveal its secrets? Find out when you read New Adventure of Kara Wind from author Kara Saul, available right now on Amazon.
Hear ye. Tom Laporta here from Laporta Roofing. Floridians, take note. Ron DeSantis and the state of Florida have allocated $280 million for the 25-26 fiscal year to fund new grants under My Safe Florida Home program. This grant is up to $10,000 when you spend $15,000 or more on your project. This may include roofing and wind mitigation systems. Go online at mysafefloridahome.com and get approved before the money is gone. If you need help, please call me, Tom Laporta, 954-604-4602, or find us at laportaroofing.com. It's simple. When you spend $1, the state matches $2 up to $10,000. They send you a check. I know it sounds too good to be true, but it is. So again, call us at 954-604-4602 or find us at laportaroofing.com.
From author Jane P. Carter comes a genre-blending sci-fi thriller filled with noir mystery, cosmic warnings, and a beat that pulses with danger. Round Midnight. In Round Midnight, Jenny Rand woke from a coma with powers she can't explain and memories she can no longer trust. In a world slipping deeper into chaos, she's pulled into a shadow war where reality is fractured, time is running out, and cats seem to know more than they should. Guided by strange visions, and haunted by forces she can't see, Jenny must unravel a global conspiracy that stretches beyond dimensions before the clock strikes midnight. If you like your fiction thought-provoking, immersive, and just a little strange, this is your next must-read book. Order your copy of Round Midnight right now on Amazon. The audiobook is available on Google Play, Kobo, Barnes & Noble, and Storytel. The truth is waiting. The clock is ticking. Will you follow the rhythm before time runs out? Order your copy today. Round Midnight from author Jane P. Carter.
All right, we're back. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Brian Craig Show podcast. If you're on hold, stand by. If you'd like to call in, you certainly can. If you're listening live, of course, at 888-465-2631. We're talking about this incredible, heroic, amazing thing that the president's doing tonight, which just blows my mind. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. All right. Once, twice. All right. Oh, I heard you. Yeah. What's on your mind? All right. I'm going to have to give up on you and move on. Hear this?
Oh, yeah. Hi.
Yeah? Yes.
All right. Bye.
Yeah. That sounds good. Save me the trouble. Oh, my goodness. If you're on hold, hang in there. There was an absolutely amazing story that would have been my lead story on the podcast here if President Trump had not announced he's going to go on patrol with the Army and the police in the streets of D.C. tonight. But Letitia James, this ridiculous property valuation case, totally tossed out on appeal. And let me play this clip. This is Letitia back in her glory days when she was leading lawfare against the greatest president.
And that is why I will be honored when I walk into that courtroom on October 2nd.
Unbelievable. What a terrible person.
Well, my role is civil. But I will come back before you soon with a check for $250 million. And to let you know that he is no longer allowed to do business in the state of New York. Yeah, we've got a special charge to show up and stand up for one another.
Okay, now this is the case that got thrown out on appeal is her lawfare case against President Trump that involved the valuation of Mar-a-Lago. And she had claimed, this is just absolutely fantastical what this lunatic criminal Letitia James did. She claimed that President Trump lied to get mortgages, that he artificially inflated the value of Mar-a-Lago to get mortgages and such. And of course, nothing could be further from the truth. Mar-a-Lago's valuation is about $1 billion, and it may even be more than that. It's a presidential home, and my guess is President Trump plans on being buried there, so it's always forever a protected historical site. And also, Mar-a-Lago, here in Florida, we've got a lot of mansions in Florida. You know, Mar-a-Lago is the largest lived-in mansion in the state of Florida. There's some mansions that might be bigger, but they're museums. No one lives in them. You know, it is the home in Florida, Mar-a-Lago. And without living here and knowing the area and how it's situated, it's difficult for you to appreciate the value of the real estate that it is on, but it is on priceless real estate, even if it was not the home of a president of the United States. But what's insane about what Letitia James did, which is just totally, she's criminally insane, because we found out not that long ago, and she's under grand jury investigations, and they very well could have sealed indictment. She's going to go to prison for mortgage fraud. She was committing, and she's allegedly done multiple times, what she accused President Trump of doing with the mortgage fraud. Oh, I got to have some water here. And the charges she brought against him are actually the charges that are being brought against her many more times, because there's many more mortgages. And what she did was charge him with crimes she's allegedly done, and that's why she was able to get all these details about what she was accusing him of doing, because it was just exactly what she was doing. So she is going to go to prison, Letitia James, for the very crimes that she fabricated against our favorite and greatest president, Donald Trump. And I've seen it's being widely reported today that the appeals court, threw out this judgment that she illegally brought against him. But I haven't heard anyone bring up that she's being accused in the grand juries for doing what she accused him of doing. Here is Wolf Blitzer. And, you know, Wolf Blitzer, he's terrible on CNN, but he was actually very good. He's also an actor. A lot of you don't know this. He played a character named Tyrion Lannister on Game of Thrones. You didn't, Wolf Blitzer? They dyed his beard, of course, so it's not white on Game of Thrones. And he's also in the new season of Dexter Resurrection, which is streaming on Paramount right now. He's the villain this year on Dexter. And when he's not acting as Tyrion Lannister and others, he's on CNN.
Well, I'm not Wolf. I have been skeptical of the Attorney General's case for a long time. I'm on record saying that this is a huge win for Donald Trump any way you cut it. And this is a stinging rebuke to the Attorney General, Letitia James. The finding here, it's a very long, complicated ruling, but the bottom line is, while the finding of
here's the finding. Trump did no wrong and she's a crook. That's the finding, all right?
Liability against Donald Trump can stand, for now at least, the damages award, which started at $350 million, with interest gets up close to $500 million. That is thrown out.
That's
and
right.
The core reason for that ruling, according to the judges, is essentially that there was not enough of a showing here that there were actual victims. And just to refresh people's memories, this is the civil fraud lawsuit brought by the Attorney General. The core allegation is that Donald Trump habitually overvalued his own assets when he was trying to get bank loans from banks.
Which coincidentally is what Letitia James is being accused of doing. And worse, right? Remember, on some of these documents and these mortgages, the allegations against Letitia James are that she said that her father was her husband.
And other lenders. And essentially, the argument that Donald Trump made below that has now had resonance in the appeals court is, you're talking about very sophisticated, quote-unquote, victims. These are billion-dollar banks that made the loans, got repaid on the loans by Donald Trump with interest, and actually profited to the tune of millions of dollars. So it's not the typical type of fraud case where you have somebody stealing money from other people or ripping off unknowing consumers. So this ruling by the appeals court is monumental. It was also very unusual in that it took them nearly a year to reach this decision. As Caitlin Polance just said, the next step is going to be to go up to the highest court in the state, the Court of Appeals in New York State.
Okay. So, yeah, it took a year. You know, this is the thing. If Trump had not been reelected, justice would not be done. He'd be in prison. You know, these other cases are the ones that are next. Judge Merchan and others. They're all going to go bye-bye, too. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Brian, it's Daniel T. Got a question for you.
Yeah, Daniel.
All these things they did, the grand jury deal in Florida. Have you heard anything about that?
Yeah.
Did they indict anybody?
We don't know yet. You know, grand juries are secret. You know, in the past, they've been made public because Democrats break the law and leak things.
Yeah,
I'm answering your question. Grand juries are secret, and they very well may have indictments that are sealed indictments that they won't announce until they get all of them done. It was announced last week by John Solomon, who's been the lead on this, that in one of the cases, the grand jury was in deliberations last week. So they may have gotten an indictment out of that one already that's just sealed and hasn't been made public yet.
Yeah. Miss Letitia James, she needs to really break up in the damn Crossbar Hotel.
Oh, she's going to go to prison, Letitia James. She's going to go to federal prison for what she did. Yeah, they'll put, yeah. All right, appreciate the call. You know, one of the things that has Democrats just in a complete panic, and you hear some of the people that call me all the time, are stories like this. Look at this. Gen Z, the youngest, right?
Emily.
Oh, that's my daughter calling. All right. I'll yell to my wife, hey, Kathy, can you text Emily? Tell her I'm live streaming. I'll call her when I'm done. Gen Z. Oh, yes. And I get a lot of Gen Z callers on the program. You guys hear them from time to time. They're usually very unglued, very bizarre. But they're a minority in their own generation. Look at this poll. Generation Z is on pace to become the most conservative generation in nearly 100 years. In nearly 100 years. Look at this. Republicans are dominating among white Zoomers. And I have a chart here. You can see it on YouTube. The chart shows the estimated percentage of white men and women who are registered with either major party and are registered as Democrats, calculated by birth year. The pink line represents women. The blue line represents men. Okay, so we have more young conservatives than we've had in a century. Think about that, before the Great Depression, during the Roaring 20s. Right. I mean, that's an amazing thing. So why is that? Well, you know, there's a lot of reasons why. Charlie Kirk has a lot to do with it. He really does. He's done a lot of good work in the last few years. But I remember in Trump's first term, when I realized there was a major turn with young people to Trump. In Trump's first term, I went to the Apple store at the mall by my house. I can't remember why I was there, but I went to the Apple store, and I saw a group of young guys. They were either like senior in high school or early days of college, and they were wearing Make America Great Again hats. And when I saw these young people at the mall at the Apple store wearing Make America Great Again, I was wearing one too. But when I saw young people wearing the Make America Great Again hats, I was like, wow, we got the youth vote. That's unheard of in my lifetime for Republicans. You know, before, you know, what President Trump did with the Republican Party is make being a Republican cool. And, you know, when I was growing up, you know, in middle school, high school, you know, and even beyond that in the 90s, there were young Republicans, but they were dorks, okay? You know, Michael J. Fox, before when he did Back to the Future, was on a show called Family Ties. Anybody remember Family Ties? If you're my age, you do. And Reagan was president when that Michael J. Fox show was on, and he was playing his character, Michael was it Michael P. Keaton? Was it P. Keaton? Well, Michael Keaton. He was a young Republican, a big Reagan guy, and of course they made him look like a jerk, and he was always dressed like a dork. You know, most young Republicans, they kind of look like Ben Shapiro, kind of dorky. They wore penny loafers and khaki pants and blue blazers and everything else. And they weren't cool. And Donald Trump made, for young people, and Charlie Kirk's helped with this a lot, made it cool for young people to be MAGA, to be a Republican. Alex P. Keaton, yes, Michael Keaton's the Batman. Yeah, Alex P. Keaton, thank you very much. I was never, if you go back and watch that show, it's really terminally boring, Family Ties. I've put it on once or twice on the streaming. I can't believe it was a hit, but we really only had 3 channels back then, so, whatever. Alex P. Keaton, that's correct. Before he actually did Back to the Future while he was doing that show. But anyway, when I went to Turning Point a couple summers ago, Turning Point USA here in Florida, and I went to that convention. It was high school and college kids, and what I saw there it just blew my mind because it was the cool kids. I'd gone to Republican events and young Republican events when I was younger, and they did not look like these kids. These were the cool kids that are Republicans now. And most of it's because of Trump. A lot of it's because of Charlie Kirk. And, a lot of it is this, too. Forget about the millennials, right? That's the AOC generation. The millennials are like middle-aged now. The Gen Z, the Zoomers, so many of them want to be YouTubers or TikTokers or influencers, or they have a lot of things going. And the Gen Z Zoomers are like my generation, Generation X. They're hardworking, entrepreneurial people. And, people that are online influencers, that are Gen Z, they all have their small business. They don't want to go out and work for somebody for a few bucks an hour. They want to have their own business. So their own business might be their Instagram. It might be their YouTube channel. And because they're influencers, they got to handle their taxes like a small business. They got to get an accountant. They got to take money and put it aside. They get 1099s and all this stuff. And they're a very entrepreneurial generation. And that's one of the reasons that they're so conservative. And what Donald Trump has done to the political landscape is amazing. I was talking the other day about Victor Davis Hanson, who I think most of you agree. Victor Davis Hanson is probably one of the most brilliant conservative minds that has ever lived. And he's certainly the most brilliant conservative alive today. You listen to what he says. He is so smart, Victor Davis Hanson. Look him up on YouTube. And listen to his commentaries. It'll blow your mind. And he's talked recently about how Donald Trump is leading a counter-revolutionary movement in the country. And it's the first one since FDR came in his first term. He's turned everything upside down. And what Trump has done is, first, he destroyed the Republican establishment. Some of them are still around, the Bush Republicans, the neocons and stuff. And there's a lot of fake MAG out there, but they've been destroyed. And now what he's set his sights on, and he's had a lot of success with this, is he's destroyed the Democrat Party establishment too. They got nothing. They're trying to promote Gavin Newsom as a somebody, but he's a loser. He's a disaster. This redistricting in Texas, which is going to spread to other states, think about it. This redistricting in Texas, all these Democrats threw a fit. The Democrats lost 5 seats in Texas with this redistricting because the gerrymandering they were doing has been reversed by the Texas legislature. And there's really not that much outcry about it. And what I mean by that is, usually with something like this, the media would just be freaking out. Now, they've been reporting what's gone on in Texas, but there's not a lot of media outrage about it. And there's really not a lot of Democrat outrage outside of the state of Texas. Okay? So what the Republicans have done in the Texas State House is going to spread to other states, including South Carolina is talking about redistricting. And I saw in a story about this the other day the congressional map of South Carolina. Oh my goodness. The Democrat districts are so fake. They're drawn like snakes, little tiny things going in weird areas and everything else. They're going to what's happening is the Democrats have been gerrymandering every state, even red Republican states, all of our lives. And Texas is leading the way to reverse that and get proper representation. And we're going to gain 30 or more seats in the House just by ending gerrymandering. And don't let them tell you that the Republicans are doing that. The Republicans are correcting the gerrymandering, okay? They're not doing gerrymandering. They're correcting it. Now, if you're on hold, hang in there. If you'd like to call in and you're watching live on YouTube, feel free. The number's pinned in the live chat, and the number's easy to remember. It's 888-465-2631, 2631. We'll be right back.
Have you ever tried to walk in someone else's shoes? Author Ellie Gregg did. Literally. At the foot of New Zealand's Franz Josef Glacier, Ellie slipped on a pair of borrowed boots and stepped into the unfinished journey of a young man named Keller. Don't forget your travel guide, Part 1, Bootstrapping, available on Amazon, isn't just a travel memoir. It's a soulful collection of over 100 one-page reflections, blending poetry, philosophy, questions, and quest, all designed to inspire you to see the world and yourself differently. As author Ellie Gregg walks through grief and across continents, Keller becomes more than a memory. He becomes a guide, and with every step, the author invites you to pause, reflect, and embrace the grace even in the coldest places. This book is not about destinations, it's about transformation. If you're searching for meaning, healing, or just a new perspective, this is the journey you've been searching for. Order your copy of Don't Forget Your Travel Guide Part 1, Bootstrapping, from author Ellie Gregg, on Amazon and Kindle and paperback, because sometimes the best way forward is to walk in someone else's shoes. Order your copy right now.
Now, I want to take a moment to talk about Jupiter Joe Thomas and annuities. You know, annuities are absolutely amazing. You know, with an annuity, no matter what happens in the market, markets go down, there's a crash, whatever happens, your investment in your annuity is safe. It never goes down. And you're guaranteed an income stream for the rest of your life. It is absolutely amazing. You know, we had Jupiter Joe Thomas was in studio with me a while back, and I asked him this question. I said, you know, a lot of working people, middle-class people invest in annuities, and also very wealthy people invest in annuities. When someone who's a high income earner and someone who's a middle class person comes to you, what are the different things that they're looking for? He says the same thing, income. Yeah, that's right. And, you know, a great thing about annuities, see, when you're in the workforce, people, you know, you got income coming in, people may feel a little more like gambling in an investment because they're still working, they lose money, they think, I can make some of that. When you're retired, though, you're no longer in the workforce, and you don't have as much time to make up any losses. And an annuity with having a safe investment and a revenue stream for the rest of your life in your retirement, that is great. And you could do with whatever you want with that money. You can go and visit your grandkids. You can take a cruise around the world, or just go and play golf every day, or get your hair done every week, whatever it is you want to do. No one that I know is going to turn down another income stream, especially in retirement. And Joe Thomas offers free phone consultations, which you can take advantage of no matter where you are in the United States. And I just want to tell you a little bit about Joe Thomas. He's been in the retirement planning business for over 30 years, but listen to this. He's a 5-time qualifying member of the $1 Million Roundtable, which is achieved by less than 1% of all financial advisors in the world. So he's a top man in the industry, and he's offering you a free phone consultation. That is amazing. The value of that alone is something, isn't it? And after that phone consultation, Joe Thomas is going to put together a custom proposal just for you based on your situation, your needs, and your goals. Give him a call and take advantage of this. 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. And if you missed the number, just go to his website. It's easy to remember. JupiterJoe.com. All right? Okay, well, let's...
Hey, let me ask you something. What do you do when the system runs out of answers? When the doctors say there's nothing more we can do, but deep down you feel like the story isn't over? What if illness isn't the end of your story, but the beginning of a deeper one? Out of the Fire, from author Mark Dixon, is a powerful true story of a woman's resilience, reflection, and awakening after 20 years of MS. It's not about quick fixes. It's about what happens when you finally start listening to your body. If you've ever felt dismissed or overlooked, this book is for you. Get Out of the Fire, available now on Amazon.
All right, we're back. I'm Brian. It's the Brian Craig Show podcast. I'm going to take another call or two before we move on to other things. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Mike from Louisiana.
Oh, hey, Mike. What's up?
You know, you mentioned the whole redistricting thing. The thing,
and talking about, well, they're not talking about it. The problem is you only have so much ROM and RAM to deal with. Trump has been doing so much and so many wins that they can't. It's like Clowder and Piven, overwhelm the system, right?
That's right. Yeah. Well, he's overwhelming their system because they're the system that's collapsed.
Their system is yeah, sure. People on our side are talking about the redistricting because it's been on Bannon's show the whole time, but just their side. This would normally be a big deal for them to talk about, oh, you're trying to steal our seats. You're trying to steal our power. It's all about power with them.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, and I appreciate the call, Mike, and it's very nice that Jasmine Crockett doesn't have a seat. Now, if you're just tuning in, I just want to recap what the main story is. This just blew me away. I'll just play it for you. When I first saw this, I thought this can't be real. This got to be AI. And then I saw it was being reported everywhere after it broke here. This is from the Todd Starnes show today, the president making a historic announcement.
And I'm going to be going out tonight. I'm going to keep it a secret, but I'm going to go. You're the only one that knows. You and your lots of listeners.
Yes.
You have a great show. You have a very successful show, by the way, in case you haven't heard that. But I'm going to be going out tonight, I think, with the police, and with the military, of course. So we're going to do a job. The National Guard is great. They've done a fantastic job.
Yeah, so President Trump's going to go out with the soldiers tonight, the National Guard and the police, and patrol the streets of Washington, D.C. That just, I'm so excited. I'm shocked that he announced he's doing it in advance. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if they got to do it another night because he announced it. You know, that's the kind of thing you find out as it's happening or the morning after, but he did it. Now, I was talking earlier, woke is dead. It's over. People are disgusted by it. That's why Cracker Barrel is in so much trouble. So before we get to that, let me check and see what they closed at today. Let's see, because the market has closed. So Cracker Barrel has closed down 7.15%. And that's a big chunk. I mean, this is a big company. That's a lot of money was lost today. Why? Because they went broke. Look at that. Stock's down 7.15%, down $4.22, closing at $54.80 today. So they lost millions and millions and millions of dollars today, Cracker Barrel, because they went woke. It's a MAGA country. And, you know, a lot of liberals don't want to accept that, but it is a MAGA country. And this story here, this park ranger went and where it was in Yosemite. Does it say exactly where? She put a transgender flag on El Capitan at Yosemite, and she got fired for it. Listen.
This is a matter of free speech. SJ Jocelyn, who uses they them pronouns, was fired from the...
Oh my goodness. It's when you're on federal land and you work for the federal government, you don't have free speech to go and deface national landmarks with your political ideology. Okay? If a park ranger put a MAGA flag up there, they'd get in trouble. There'd be so much liberal outrage. She knew what she was doing. She was trying to get fired. She was trying to cause an issue with her they, them pronouns.
This is a matter of free speech. SJ Jocelyn, who uses they, them pronouns, was fired from their job at Yosemite National Park last week. I had the best job in the world. Jocelyn says park leaders told them they, quote, failed to demonstrate acceptable conduct for their role in displaying a trans flag on the famous El Capitan rock formation during one of their days off in May. I came up with the idea back in March. Just the trans community was really hurting with all of the recent kind of persecution that we've had against us from the federal government.
She's transgender? Is she a biological male? I don't know. What oppression, what discrimination is going on against transgender people, by the way?
What better meaning of a thing as hanging a huge trans flag in the most iconic feature in the park? Like, wouldn't that just be such an amazing celebration? I wasn't worried about facing repercussions at work because El Cap has a long precedent of allowing flags to be flown. So it's really been a place where people can practice free speech. Shortly after the flag was hung, Jocelyn learned they were the subject of a criminal investigation. But when they lawyered up and declined to be questioned, that led to a mandatory administrative interview. 2 months later, they
were called into a meeting.
Acting deputy superintendent shook my hand and then fired me on the spot. I asked her if she understood that I was the only one who had been fired or reprimanded for hanging flags on El Cap, even though there have been flags hung on El Cap for decades, and I didn't get answers.
Jocelyn has been a park ranger and wildlife biologist at Yosemite since 2021, and they've been a part of the community there more broadly for 16 years.
I want to fight it with everything that I have because I just want my job back, I want my life back, and I want to continue to be a part of the Yosemite community.
Okay, now they say she's a biologist, she'll be fine, okay? She's got an advanced degree in a specialty. She went out to get fired, okay? And so far as people putting other flags up there, were they park rangers that did it? Did they work for the federal government, the people that put other flags up there? And what were those flags? I don't know. But when you work for the federal government and you're a park ranger, the kind of like, it depends on what you do, but you're like a federal agent. You know, when you work for the government, you surrender some of your First Amendment rights while you're on the job. And that's part of it. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, this is Sean from Massachusetts.
Hey, Sean, what's up?
Well, this story you just broke in with this girl at the Yosemite, it's quite amusing actually, because these people, they like to compare themselves heroically to our brave soldiers, and they like to compare their oppression to the Holocaust survivors.
That's right.
And it's unbelievable how pathetic this display is. And as I said, if this were somebody on the other side doing something, there would be an outrage to beat the band, as you said a minute ago. And
yeah.
It's just
that's right.
It's pathetic. It's very pathetic, and and tonight watching Trump's going to do his thing tonight, it's just going to make me feel so much better.
I mean, I can't believe now him announcing it. I hope it doesn't make them have to reschedule it, because that's not the kind of thing you would do in advance. You would announce it after or during it.
Yeah, because there'll be an exceptional crowd probably trying to get out there or something. Oh, some group of idiots.
He wants to show that the city's so safe, even the president of the United States can walk the streets. That's what he wants to show.
It's actually an incredible idea, and it's going to because he's going to show everybody exactly that. Because it is that. It's already been. I mean, just been people going out, just filming out on the streets, talking to people, walking by, and saying, "Hey, look at this.
That's right.
It feels great, huh? Look at how quiet it is out."
That's right. Yeah, it's gonna be great. I can't wait. Appreciate the call. Now, this story just dropped. There's Gavin. They're pushing Gavin Newsom a lot, and apparently he got a lot of followers on one of his social platforms. And they're trying to say, "Oh, look how well he's doing. He's got all these followers." Yeah, bots. But one of the things, his Benghazi is Malibu. Look at this. Look at this. This just dropped. A foreign investor has quietly gobbled up 9 oceanfront lots in Malibu for $65 million following these wildfires from January. The investors reportedly assembled a team to track down owners because the desirable sites weren't publicly listed. So this is like in Hawaii, these fires in Malibu. And I'm not the only one who thinks this. A lot of people believe that it is a big real estate scam. And you know what? Gavin Newsom doesn't care. He doesn't care. I mean, Californians are a little different than people in other states. Californians, we're all proud of our states, but people that are native Californian, being Californian's a big deal. And Californians like to trace their genealogy back as many generations as they can. And Gavin goes back a ways. And if he cares so little about his own people, can you imagine who's going to put the country in the hands of a guy like that? Now, Governor DeSantis here in Florida, every day he drops something that's just so, he is such a great governor. He's really as close to perfection as you could possibly be as a Republican governor. Every day he does something that's great, but he betrayed us, and he betrayed President Trump when he ran against him. Okay, and you just can't trust this guy. But this illegal that didn't speak English that was driving this 18-wheeler that got these people killed, DeSantis, he's coming down pretty hard on him. Listen.
Ron DeSantis of Florida is talking about the illegal immigrant truck driver who had the driver's license from California that killed 3 people in Florida. Let's listen in.
He will arrive in Florida today, and he will get the book thrown at him very shortly after that.
He was in California. He's been extradited.
Guarantee you. So stay tuned. You're going to be able to hear more for that. But how ridiculous is it that somebody would get a commercial driver's license who doesn't understand the language of this country, doesn't understand road signs, doesn't understand these things. And the feds, when they had him detained a couple days ago, they did an English test, and he failed abysmally, not even close. Like, not only like, a little English, no, he was terrible. And yet he's getting these commercial licenses from these sanctuary states. And in the U.S., we all kind of have our opportunities to run our states the way we want. We've chosen to be the free state of Florida, and I think most people here appreciate that. California, Washington State, they're choosing much different pathways, and I think it's been very destructive to the people there. That's why people have fled those states. But, their policies and their recklessness spills over to other states in this country, and it's spilled over in this case to the state of Florida. So the 3 Floridians are dead, in part because of the recklessness that we see out on the left coast. And
Gavin Newsom is guilty as a co-conspirator of this in this manslaughter case. These people would be alive if it wasn't for wokeism out in California. And
I think it needs to stop, but ultimately, it's going to require Congress to get off its rump and actually do something about this. Defund sanctuary states, defund sanctuary cities, rein in the excesses that we've seen in these states.
So, this is great. And by the way, they pulled the credentials from the company that hired this guy, too, here in the state of Florida. This guy's going to go to prison for whatever the longest sentence is, maybe life, in this vehicular manslaughter, and he deserves it. And it's a strong message that needs to be sent. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm Omar, and I'm from Las Vegas.
All right, Omar. What's on your mind?
One thing I got to say is Trump is a pedophile.
I'm sure. Well, go tell your friends. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Brian. This is Madison calling from California. I've called in a couple times. How are you today?
Good. How you doing, Madison?
Good. I just wanted to call because I do live in California, and I live about north of Sacramento, where the capital is. And I just wanted to say that there are a lot of MAGA people in California.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of us have chosen to stay and fight, and I want your listeners to know.
Well, I want to tell you, hold on, I'm sorry, I'm answering all the phones. There are more Republicans in California than in Florida. Think about that.
Right, and I've spoken to the people that have ran the recalls, and a lot of people believe that there's been funny business, not only in the past elections, but in the recalls, because I hear people go, oh, why are those people in California voting for him? We are not voting. I have a job where I'm in sales, and I travel from county to county and city to city, and everybody hates Gavin Newsom here in California.
Well,
everybody
you guys can look this up online. I played this on the podcast when it happened. When Gavin Newsom went into that Target and the cashier started bad-mouthing the governor, she didn't know that her customer was Gavin Newsom. It's hilarious. Have you ever seen that video?
No, I have not.
You got to look it up. Gavin Newsom, he goes into a Target, and he's getting checked out by the cashier, and he asks her about the governor, and she starts going off on Gavin Newsom. She didn't know her customer was Gavin Newsom, and he tried to get her fired. He went and got the manager. Oh, my goodness. It was a mess. It's hilarious. But, here's the thing. With the deportations and things that have been going on, those things you're talking about aren't going to be in play as much as they have been in the past. And we're moving into a situation where California is about to become one of those toss-up states, battleground states, and in a few election cycles might go back to being Republican like it was in the great days of Ronald Reagan and Richard Nixon.
Right, and I want to say what I hear, rumblings. We have Patrick Duffy, the transportation. I believe that Trump is way ahead of this, and they are investigating this state deep. They are investigating Gavin Newsom, and they are letting him do what he wants to do. And when the time is right, they are going to bring the receipts. They are going to fully expose him to all of California and the U.S., and it's going to ruin his chance of even running. I would be absolutely surprised if he was even able to run in the next 2 years and even try to plan his presidency. I think that Trump they know it all. They know way more than we know, and that they are going to destroy him before he even gets there. And all the people in California for sure are going to make sure that he never makes it to the White House, because I'm staying here. I have military in my family. I have CHP. We've gone through this whole thing, and a lot of people leave. I understand why, but if we don't stay and fight, then we can't save. And it is expensive to live here. I'll agree, but I'm staying here, and I want people to know that there is MAGA spirit everywhere.
Let me tell you, I believe that what Trump wants Gavin to run, so I think they're kind of laying off Gavin so he becomes the nominee, because he's so flawed.
Okay.
Yeah, I really do. He's so flawed, and there's so much corruption. Look what's going on in Malibu. Right, that's hardcore corruption going on. Right? Hey, listen, I appreciate the call. Thanks so much. You had a lot. And
okay, thank you so much.
I agree with everything you said. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Because he's so.
Oh, hey, hi.
I really do.
Turn down the volume of whatever device you're listening to me on.
Yeah, I did that.
Thank you.
This is Joan from Tampa Bay.
Hey, Joan.
I've been following this thing guy, for a while, since it happened. Some people don't even know it happened on the turnpike, and you never turn around on the turnpike.
Oh, no, you don't.
But the thing is, I hear that Washington State issued his first CDL license, and he just transferred it to California.
Well, I don't know. That's blue too, so whatever.
I don't know.
All I know is 3 people are dead that are dead because of Democrat policies. That's what I know.
I don't think any trucker should be on the road that can't read, write, and speak English.
Basically, the guy's illiterate, and he can't read the signs.
Well, I have to say one thing. I am only second-generation American. My family came here like 1908.
Mm-hmm.
But my grandmother that came from Poland, my grandfather that came from Lithuania, they could read, write, and speak English.
Yes. Yeah.
They
That's true.
wanted to assimilate.
Well, they don't, they've done a big push in the last 30 years to not assimilate. Like when you and I were growing up, we heard this thing called that America's a melting pot. They haven't been teaching that since the 80s. They've been working against assimilation.
And you know what? I remember when I was, in grade school, my little brother's friend came over, right? And his grandma was from Italy.
Yeah.
And my grandmother was making a cake mix, and he said to her, "Do you want me to read that to you?" She's like, "Oh, no, I know how to read English." She was offended.
Well, listen, you're not required to learn English if you're in the country, whether you should be or not. But if you're operating major, dangerous, deadly machinery, you need to be able to read it and speak it, and otherwise you could get people killed. Hey, Joan in Tampa, I appreciate the call. Take care. You make some good points. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, it's JJ from Mass. How you doing?
All right, JJ.
Good show this morning.
Thank you.
Good to see you on this afternoon.
Thank you.
I really, I'm pretty sure I'm in the same spot as you, or you're in the same spot as me. As I really wish President Trump had not told because that's got to be. It just makes me nervous. I would have been a hell of a surprise
It
tomorrow to
wouldn't
find
it?
out that he did it.
Or while he was doing it,
been
he's riding around on a tank or a Humvee. We just turn on the TV. Breaking news: the president's in a Humvee.
Yeah, that would have been awesome. But now, it just worries me because there's a lot of crazy people.
They may have to cancel it. They may have to cancel it because of it.
You talked about, you were talking about James, Madison, and it's just how, how things weave our history. We were talking about gerrymandering, and Madison served 2 terms. In his second term, Elbridge Gerry was his vice president.
Oh my goodness!
The guy that,
that's crazy.
It's just back then things were different, and the VP before him, the first VP for him, Madison, was George Clinton, who was also the VP for.
Well, they still had whoever lost became the vice president in the early days. So if it worked that way, still Kamala Harris would be Trump's vice president. Could you imagine? What would that be like?
Pain. Just thinking.
That's crazy. I know.
Forget it.
I know. Could you imagine?
No, I can't. I just think about and you're looking at
or Trump would have or President Trump would have been Biden's vice president.
Yeah. Oh, it's just
Is that crazy?
It fries the mind. It's forget it.
Or Hillary Clinton would have been Trump's first vice president.
It's painful to think about it all like that, but things.
It could be fun though. It could be fun sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes, but I think it has. I think it's worked out for the best. Right now, we're making history every day, or I should say, well, the country is, but he is every single day. All the different things that are happening, and you showed today on the show, which I thought was there was a moment where you had the Lindell TV, the female reporter, walking around D.C. asking people. Now, 10, 15 years ago, nobody would have ever saw that report. Mm-mm. The media had control. They would have put everything on lockdown, and they controlled the narrative. But now that they don't control it, the Saul Alinsky tactic of never give up the lie, continually telling the lie, that was back. That's not working now. I think when they keep lying like they do, because you watch CNN, all they do is lie. MSNBC, and the people that were kind of on the fence, when you tell people in Washington, D.C., that you're suppression, and we don't want the Fed, we don't want the police, we don't want crime, and that's the message that goes out to all of America.
Yeah.
And yet everybody that lives there is like,
well,
you guys are nuts.
What's going on? Safety. What's going on? By the way, I'm going to move on, but thanks for the call. You make some good points. What's going on in D.C. It's more Democrat racism, right? The Democrats they don't care because the residents are black, and they've always mistreated black people. That's the way of it. Now, before I go back to the phones, I want to tell you guys about Dr. Philip Appleton. Are you in pain? You don't have to be. When I was growing up, because I remember when my grandparents were I can remember when my grandmother was younger than I am today, right? I'm 54. I can remember knowing my grandmother was 51. I was very young. But I thought pain was just part of growing older because I remember my grandparents always in pain. But back in the 70s, Dr. Appleton wasn't around with his laser wave pain treatment, and he is now. His laser wave pain treatment, it rids you of pain. It works on every type of pain I've ever heard of. There's no drugs, no shots, no injections, no surgery. It works. There's no downtime and no appointments necessary. And we've had listeners travel from all over the United States to see Dr. Appleton. And I know what it's like when, the pains that he's rid me of have been such bad pains that I just wanted to sleep because the pain was so bad. You guys know what I'm talking about if you've ever lived with pain. It's awful. And you don't want to become a junkie and start taking pain medications. Go see Dr. Appleton and say bye-bye to your pain like I've done 7 times. Remember, walk-ins are welcome. Appointments are not necessary, even on Fridays. His number, 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonCairo.com. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air.
Hey, how you doing? I'm calling from Virginia.
All right, Virginia. What's on your mind?
Hey, we just got to talk about the Epstein files. We just got to get.
I'm going to tell you. I have a date that I'm going to talk about that on. You ready? You want to write it down?
Perfect.
It's the 5th of Never. The 5th of Never. Mark it on your calendars. If you're new to my program, my name's Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. The Brian Craig Show podcast is on all podcast platforms. So just whatever podcast platform you get your podcast on, just search for the Brian Craig Show podcast, and you can find me there. If you want to catch the podcast live, where you can call in, watch me on YouTube. My YouTube channel is Brian Craig Show on YouTube. You look me up on YouTube, Brian Craig Show. I'll come right up, subscribe, and you can catch me live and call in. And then you can also see me because YouTube's a video. Okay, so check that out. My name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Again, if you're new, make sure you subscribe and follow on whatever platform you are tuned in on. And I'll talk to you next time. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.